Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session Corporate Fleets, How Will They Decarbonize? So, I'm really pleased to welcome my three co-panelists. So let me quickly introduce them. So I have a pleasure to welcome Marcus Almer. Marcus, you are CTO of Urban Connect, Switzerland, a leading provider of sustainable and multimodal employee mobility with corporate clients such as Lonza, ELT, Google, and Roche. And Urban Connect is a multimodal platform for companies that offers other companies an ecosystem of low emission and shared vehicles. So welcome on board.
Thank you, Sandrine, for having me.
Then we have Cnaan Aviv. Cnaan, you are the CTO and co-founder of Make My Day. Make My Day is a startup company from Israel that aims to simplify the transition from a combustion engine to EVs. And you have developed two pattern algorithms, to predict the battery consumption and to optimize charging based on different parameters. Welcome on board as well.
Thank you very much.
And we have also Andreas Schneider. So Andreas, you are a digital mobility consultant expert, and you are also the founder of Electrify. This company is currently based in Bangkok, and you are developing software for transitioning and managing vehicles, electric vehicles fleets.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to join the discussion.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And just to quickly introduce myself, so I'm Sandrine Henry. I'm the general delegate for a French association called AVEN that promotes electric vehicles and e-mobility. So I will start with a quick sentence saying that corporate world accelerate towards a greener future. And the companies are rethinking their mobility and the mobility of their employees. And the three of you are working on this field. So I will start with Marcus. As a leading provider of sustainable and multimodal employee mobility, how do you help corporate fleets to decarbonize?
Thank you, Sandrine. That's a good question. So what we do is we help companies with multimodal mobility solutions on different levels. The main philosophy is to look at the resources that they have and more efficiently allocate them in terms of decarbonizing. So, for example, we want to get more and more shift to public transportation, and we want to get a shift through electric vehicles. The way we started the company is first with micromobility. So our idea was, well, if we provide e-bike fleets, for example, to companies, then people will be more incentivized to leave their car at home. Sometimes you need really just short distances. And if you provide the company employees with a fleet of e-bikes, high quality bikes, then they will be more incentivized to use them. And so that's how we started with shared electric e-bike fleets. This went very well, big reception at the companies. And then we added shared cars because a lot of companies said, okay, we still need, for longer distances, we need cars. And if they're available shared, the same system that we did for bikes, then that would be really beneficial. So we grew the platform, not only the software platform itself, but also the car fleet and the types of vehicle we added.
So you are covering the whole range of vehicles from the 2 wheels till the 4 wheels.
Exactly. So for us, multimodality is a big key. Right now, you have a lot of people that are used to come by car because they don't have other option. And each employee is individual. Some live close to a train station. Here in Europe, public transportation is very good. So you could use the public transportation way more often. But you have an issue with first mile, last mile. And that's why we partnered with SBB, public transport in Switzerland. How do you get people to come from home to the train station, to public transportation, and from the train station then to the office? So there's still things that need to be solved in first and last mile. And that's where we come in with micromobility fleets, also scooter as an option, but mostly it's e-bikes.
Okay. What about you, Cnaan? How do you help companies to electrify their fleets and manage them? Is it easy for a company to make the shift between?
Currently, we have developed those 2 algorithms that you reminded before. And the idea is for us to be as enablers. Usually, we don't work directly with the fleet. Also, in some cases, we do work directly with the fleet. We work more with the other suppliers for the fleet. For example, fleet management systems or any other systems that already works within the fleet. We help them to see what will be the impact of replacing those vehicles to electric vehicles. So, for example, what will be the total cost of ownership? What will be the ROI? Which type of vehicles do they need? How do they operate the charging of the whole vehicle? What will be their energy consumption? So it can be working directly with fleets, but usually we are working as an enabler for softwares that are already working together in the fleets. So, for example, we are working with Geotab, which is a provider and a telematic provider for fleet solutions. So part of their solution, they take Make My Day. And for example, this to take this corporate, we work with other corporate on the same way as being the low-level enabler for using electric vehicles.
Okay. And what about you, Andreas? How do you support company fleet manager in this transition? Is it easy for them to go to electrify vehicles?
Yeah, I think generally, before I start telling what we're exactly doing, which is, I would say, in line with what we just heard from Cnaan, I also like to talk about the benefits, right? So why are companies really moving towards it? Because that's also important to kind of make the whole process happen. And I think mostly the discussion, and now probably I'm bringing also in a little bit another perspective, because obviously, as you mentioned before, we're based in Southeast Asia. So the discussion here is a bit a different one. Usually, especially in Europe, I think we tend to talk mostly about sustainability, which is fine and which is good. But we also think, especially here in Southeast Asia, you also need to talk about other things, and there's other benefits, right? Because obviously it's not just about being sustainable, it's also, and not just about becoming green, which is great, but also electrification is also key to stay competitive. And this is because obviously besides sustainability, EVs are also low in operating cost, because obviously they're running on lower cost than gasoline cars, because they run on electricity, and also they need less maintenance. In some countries, in Europe, of course, but also here in Southeast Asia, they are also eligible to tax cuts and the buying incentives. And so in total, you could say that there's an advantage in TCO, so the total cost of ownership, of up to 30% compared to gasoline cars. And that's a major driver of this electrification, at least here in Southeast Asia, where it's mostly about showing a business case and not just showing that you can reduce carbon dioxide emissions, which is also important and which is additional benefits, of course. And now what are we doing in this context? So we are supporting companies transitioning from ICE, gasoline fleets, to electric vehicle fleets. And we're developing software for and that might be a bit similar to what also you guys are doing in Israel, right? Analyzing their fleet, making certain recommendations, then also analyzing the future infrastructure needs of this fleet. So which type of chargers are needed, how many, and so on and so forth. And then also the charge management, which is quite complex. So obviously you will also want to optimize for cost when it comes to charging. And it's quite a complex issue, not just refueling the car. So this is the suite of products we're going to provide. And of course, in the long run, I think, and that might be a bit similar also to you guys there, it should be a full-fledged electric vehicle fleet management system, right? Software-based.
Yeah, I totally agree. The TCO is a real issue for all the fleet operators, and they are looking at it deeply. When we have electric vehicle, that means also that we need to have infrastructures and charging infrastructures. It's the egg and the chicken. Who is doing the first step? It's for the three of you. This question is open.
So maybe what I can jump in regarding cost savings. We also, when we start with customers, we also start originally with a fleet check. We look at the current fleet, how they use it. I think that's really important. A lot of companies have no valuable data on how the cars are how the fleet is used. So we initially go in with a fleet check. We look how they're used, and very importantly, parallel use. For example, we can track the cars and see not total usage, but how big the fleet is. And what we see often is that a lot of cars are not actually used. We have numbers about that over time when we do these checks, that you can reduce the overall fleet. And then you see suddenly the next step is, okay, we want to electrify, not only reduce, but also electrify. And then the charging becomes an issue. So this is part of our service offering as well. So we help companies to with the installation of a charging station. We consult with them, and there we see often it's not even the issue of the charging station at the company, but to get permissions. So that's the challenge we currently have is permission on location, or having the electricity available at the location. But the companies are definitely willing to go that way.
Okay, and Cnaan, how is it in Israel? Or in the countries that you are covering, because you are not only in Israel as well.
Yeah, we are working on Israel, but we are currently working all around the world. We have customers in the North America, in the US, in South America, quite a lot. And also, of course, in France, for example, we have just finished two beautiful POC, one with Total and one with ALD, and also in Italy with Enel. So we do have customers all around the world. But I would, if going directly to the point, is that looking just on electrification in a prism of just one point, it's not enough for the fleet operator, because they have many other aspects and many other parameters that need to take into consideration. For example, hours of work. If you have a driver, he cannot drive more than 6 hours consecutively, I think, and they need to stop and to rest for at least 30 minutes. Or other parameters. For example, if you're using a big truck or a semi-trailer that need to take a huge amount of weight, or you're using a smaller van that can take less. So understanding the needs of the fleet, making sure that you support the current behavior of the fleet so they can achieve their goals and be able to electrify the fleet. This is where the problem is. Because just electrifying, let's just buy electric vehicles, let's install chargers, that's not enough. Understanding the whole world, understanding the whole different parameters, that you need to continue working, that you have a limited amount of energy inside the depot where you can charge the vehicle. All those constraints needs to be taken into consideration, and only then you can assure the fleet operator that they can still continue operate the same way that they used to operate, achieve all their goals, then you can start electrifying the fleet. And this is very important. For this, you need to understand the battery consumption, and you need to understand the behavior of the fleet itself.
Okay. And so, Andres, how do
Yeah,
you see
I think
from your point of view?
Yeah, I think I can add on this, and I mean, the key what you just mentioned is pretty much starting based on the requirements of the fleet, right? The customer need in the end. And obviously, if you think about how customers use their fleets, there are many different options, and there are many different use cases. And based upon the use case they choose, or their business model is based on, you have very different specifications then later on also for the software and stuff you can do. And especially when it comes to the charging, which you can also make quite complex in the end, right? We are currently, and obviously we're still an early stage startup, we're currently focusing on the depot-based charging, which has just been mentioned. Because obviously that's an environment that is controlled by the customer. There's no external interference. It's very well, it can be planned very easily. And then in this setting, of course, there's no big risks in setting up the charging operations. Of course, it changes a bit. We're going to move then later on also to destination charging, and in the long run also public charging. But there, of course, use cases are getting more tricky, obviously. You have way more interference from external forces. You cannot make sure that the chargers are working all the time. And of course, this has always is associated with risks when it comes to business continuity, so that customers can just continue their business operations as before. Because, for example, last mile delivery, the worst case that can happen is like just the van cannot be charged, the charger broke down, and then the parcels cannot be delivered. So this has to be avoided. And that's why, especially in the beginning, this depot-based charging is still, at least for us, the most important use case.
Yeah, and to summarize, when you are going to EV transition, you have to do business as usual. It has not to interfere in your business. So if I take the market and look at all the market in general, do you think that the carrot and the stick is working? I mean, is it important to have financial and regulatory incentive to foster this decarbonization, or companies can do it without? What do you think? Marcus, if you want to start?
So yeah, it always helps having financial incentivation. That obviously helps. In Switzerland, they're working on it. The government is working. Here, it's actually, we have a cantonal system, so we have the government who is working on some subsidizing solution, but also canton down to the city. Right now, there's no regulation, there's no united way of handling this, but they're working on it to make it more attractive. I think it helps, but it's not the only way. You have now electric vehicles. They're not, at least in Switzerland, they're not anymore more expensive than internal combustion engine. They're very similar, maybe 10, 15% more expensive, but then maintenance is lower. So over the period of longer time, the costs are not anymore the issue. I don't see that. I think it's a cultural change, it's change management. Sometimes range anxiety is not anymore such a big issue, at least here in Switzerland.
Okay. What about you, Cnaan? How do you see it from your point of view?
I see that we need to divide regulation for two parts. The first regulation is, I would directly call it health. We want the world to be a greener place. We want to breathe clean air. And so when a city or municipality say this is a conjunction area that you cannot get in with an ICE vehicle, this is type of regulation, because then it's force the fleet operator to buy an electric vehicles or zero emission vehicle. So this is one type of regulation. And also we have like this pledge for decarbonization of fleets. So companies have said we are going to reduce the CO2 emission in the company. So this is one type of regulation, and the other type of regulation that help us, and this is subsidiary helping to buy an electric vehicle from those reasons. So you say, so when the government says, listen, you need to decarbonize your fleet, but I'm going to help you because I'm going to reduce the taxes when you buy an electric vehicle. So those two regulations are, I think, they are the first igniter for the fleets operator or the enterprises to come and search for electric vehicle. But then they see the real nice benefit of it, which is reducing cost, reducing maintenance, and of course, if you ever drive on electric vehicle, I hope the listener to this panel are driving already an electric vehicle. Once you drive an electric vehicle, you don't go back. It's so much fun. So the drivers even like it, and the fleet operator like it. So the regulation, I think it's a very good igniter to move on.
Okay. And what about you, Andreas? In Asia, how does it work?
Yeah, I think here, obviously, and I mentioned that before, is even more important to emphasize the TCO, the total cost of ownership. And of course, if you have subsidies and you have incentives, as we have also in quite a few countries here in Southeast Asia, that definitely helps, because that supports the business case. And then you can convince people, you can, especially specifically fleet managers, right? Because otherwise, I don't know what's your experience in the other markets, but fleet managers sometimes can also be, like perhaps all of us, a bit lazy, right? And you have to admit, changing to EVs and electrifying comes with a certain, there are some challenges, right? And especially changes, change management is needed. We have some changes in the daily operation, just things work a bit differently, and you need to plan it, obviously. So you need some digital tools also in a perfect world to support the process. And that's why I still think first you convince with a business case, and hopefully supported by incentives and subsidies. Of course, that's very important. But then obviously you need to kind of give this little push, right? So that people here really get like starting to move, and especially the fleet manager then also is committed to like electrifying the fleet. And of course, this is not just done by tomorrow. This is a lengthy process, at least for big fleets. And yeah, so it's always good to plan it, and in a perfect world also have software support, we think.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
if I can do that. I think it's great if we can get subsidies, and if we that really helps. But as a company, I would not wait for it. We need to take action now. Politics moves a little bit slower, and there's plenty of reasons to change right now, and not just wait until some outside help is there. And there's also innovation. I mean, for example, shared fleets are completely underused yet. We have customers that once they start making the fleet available to more, or even for private use in the evening for their employee, suddenly they see new revenue streams coming in. So with our software solution, they turn something that was a cost, they turn it into an income stream. We have a client who charges their fleet to the employees at a very reduced rate, but their cost at the end of the month is almost zero for the fleet, because they open it up for the employees to use privately with a huge advantage. Number one, some employees, they don't need their own car, because they know the company provides a car if they really need it, and it gives them way more flexibility. So there's innovation, there's ideas out there that you can change to electric vehicles and to shared fleets without waiting for the government to act.
So
but of course, everything is welcome that helps push electrification forward.
But change is now, and decarbonization is today. It's not in the future. It's something that is really happening right now. And the three of you were speaking about the manager fleet. So this manager, how is it to deal with them? Is it something that you have to accompany? Do you have to find some kind of ambassadors to maybe convince them to go to this kind of changes? Who wants to take the lead?
Yeah, perhaps I can start quickly, because obviously I'm talking to these fleet managers directly, and of course now this is a bit more like the Southeast Asian perspective. Might be a bit different, so I'm excited about how it's going in the other markets. But obviously, and I think that's always important when you offer a product, right? You need to start and pretty much meet the customer where they are at right now, right? It doesn't help to come up with sophisticated products if they're not yet ready. And what we see, at least in Southeast Asia, is that also the knowledge about electric vehicles and about fleet electrification is not that large, right? So usually many fleet managers, even for big large Thai companies, for example, like the big delivery fleets comparable to a DHL here in Europe, for example, they sometimes don't know about how they should get started, right? They don't even know that there's a certain grid capacity limit at their site. They have no idea how many chargers they would need for their vehicles. They still think they might need one charger for each vehicle, which is obviously not the case. And so you really need to start at the very beginning. And so I think that's for me the key learning here. So pretty much, align with where they are right now, and then obviously take them from there, right?
Maybe what I can say to this, what we try is to get in as easy as possible, to make it for the fleet manager, as smooth as possible. So we offer pilot. There's no long-term commitment. We say try the solution, try our platform, see the advantages, use it for a few months, either yourself as the fleet manager on your company car, or get one of our fleet cars for a few months, try it out, test it, collect data, and then we see if this is something that works for you. And I think this helps because many of them are really curious, but they don't want to make an immediate long-term commitment. It's expensive. I mean, it's expensive, not expensive, but it's a bigger budget that we talk about when you do car fleets for years. So the best way is to let them try it out, and then they see immediately the advantages. They're excited about it. They see the ease of use, and then we talk and optimize specifically for the fleet manager. I think that's the best way to get them introduced.
For us, we are not working directly. Sometimes we do work directly with the fleet operator, but we are trying to work with the current software, the fleet management systems that they currently have, in order for them not to look just on the electrification, but to come from a familiar place. So they already have some kind of fleet management system or some kind of customer management system or ERP system. And our solution is trying to connect into those existing systems and adding another layer, another add-on of electrification into their own familiar known world, so they can continue working on the same way that they were working before, only with the electrification layer enabled inside their system. So in this case, I think it is, they are easily adopting this need.
Okay, so time flies, and I think we will end this session. But to summarize, really to transition to low carbon fleet, it's really part of a strategy. The company has to think about it, speak with people who are already working in this field, and share their experience, success, and also sometimes something that is not working. So it's really important. And the role of electric vehicles in corporate fleets, we have seen that it's really important as well. We all need this transition. of course, for the environment, but also for the economic and financial point of view. And we still have some challenges and issues to face. But if we are all together, we can do this transition, and the fleet, the corporate fleets can decarbonize themselves. So thank you everyone for participating, and a special thanks to Marcus, Andreas, and Cnaan for having this discussion this morning. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.